never get free. Lamb to the slaughter, what you gon' do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed is your son and your daughter. What you gon' do when there's blood in the water?
Riverdale, the show everyone hates but can't stop watching for some reason. I had people telling me how good this show was and how it's the most underrated show on Netflix, so I decided I wanted to watch this show and give it a try. I then went into the show with very high expectations, and let me just say this. This show definitely did not meet my expectations, not even close. Let's go way back to the start and I'll explain why. First of all, what is Riverdale? Because that's a very good question. This show is kind of all over the place, and I don't think anyone can answer that question.
I'll do it. Riverdale is a pseudo-psychological thriller posturing as a consolidation of every beloved 90s teen show.
Yeah, that's basically what I would have said. But yeah, Riverdale is a crazy mess of a show that people love. It's a show that the creator doesn't even know what it is supposed to be. Riverdale basically wants to be everything, and you'll see what I mean soon. Season 1. A new school year begins. The town of Riverdale is reeling from the tragic death of high school golden boy Jason Blossom. The first season follows the investigation into the murder of Jason Blossom. Jason, the son of the richest family in town and one of the most popular people in school, is found dead. He was shot in the head and washed up on the banks of Sweetwater River. A group of friends then circle around the mystery and deep dive into the dark secrets of Jason's death. Okay, so season 1 of Riverdale is actually pretty decent, and I'm not joking, I'm being full serious. Season 1 has a really good storyline. It does obviously have some flaws, but season 1 overall is very entertaining, and that's because unlike the other seasons, the writers got straight to the point and didn't drag on the season. Season 1 only has 13 episodes compared to the 22 all the other seasons have, which is just way too many. But season 1 has a very good story flow, there's no boring parts, and is very focused on one simple, interesting plot. There's no underground fight clubs or groups of girls pretending to be superheroes that kill people like it's nothing, no fighting bears or monsters or aliens or having a war against a giant mafia mob. It's just a simple teen drama based on a murder mystery. Season 1 is the only season to focus on one single storyline. Now, if you don't know, Riverdale was originally meant to be made as a movie, and it definitely should have been. You can't deny it, Riverdale Season 1 would have been a good movie, and it would have been way better than making a show. But overall, Season 1 is really good. But Season 2 is the start of Riverdale's downfall, and is when people started calling the show terrible. The first few episodes were good, still following one plot, but about a quarter of the way through, the show dramatically drops. Season 2 follows the storyline of a murderer called the Black Hood. Starting with Fred Andrews and continuing to wreak havoc on the town, the Black Hood targets those he considers sinners. As the storyline progresses, the Black Hood seems to have a strange relationship with Betty. Spoiler alert, it's Betty's dad, Hal Cooper. And I have a feeling the writers of the show had no idea who the Black Hood was actually going to end up being. I think they just did a spin wheel of random characters and that's how they chose, because Hal Cooper, being the Black Hood, is just dumb. It's terrible, it makes no sense. The Black Hood could have actually been an actual good villain. Season 2 does have that big flaw, but it was still overall good enough to enjoy, until they added more and more subplots. The tensions rise between the south side and the north side of Riverdale, having an all-out war. Hiram Lodge, Veronica's father, who has been released from jail and is now back in town, begins to buy up and renovate Southside property. Archie, now Veronica's boyfriend, has become mixed up with Hiram's business to please him, and basically everything goes to shit. Oh wait, and a few more introductions to the storyline. Chick, Betty's long-lost half-brother that isn't actually her brother. And then we have this.
Is it recording? This is a message for the coward calling himself the Black Hood. You think you can attack us from the shadows, but Riverdale is a lot stronger than you, and we're not afraid.
Shirtless teenagers creating their own gang to try and fight a serial killer that has guns. Wow. Anyway, Season 2 is really bad. Let's move on to Season 3. Season 3. Where do I begin? Season 3 is extremely bad. In Season 3, the show just doesn't know what it wants to be or what it is, and the hundreds of subplots going on is just really confusing. and it's just really bad. There's a board game called Griffins and Gargoyles, and then there's the Gargoyle King that tries to enslave everyone. Then there's Archie in jail for a random crime he didn't even do. Then he escapes jail and gets hunted by the mob. Then there's a drug trafficking subplot, a mental hospital subplot, and while all that's going on, Betty is fighting a cult overtaking the city. And by now it's pretty obvious the writers have no idea what they're doing. Oh, and floating babies. Oh wait, and Betty's dad gets executed right in front of her, and the next day no one cares. Everyone is happy. Like what? I am already tired of season 3. It's the worst season. Let's move on to season 4. Season 4. This season isn't necessarily bad, it's just slow and boring. You can only go so far with the it's so bad it's good in an ironic way type of thing. It just dies off and gets boring. Season 4 reintroduced the romantic feelings childhood friends and next door neighbours Archie and Betty have for each other. Veronica's father Hiram Lodge is diagnosed with a neuromuscular disorder, which causes his muscles to weaken over time, but he gathers enough strength to beat up and kill a rival rum distributor before the season ends. That's basically it. Oh wait, I haven't even mentioned the main storyline yet. The season 3 finale shows a flash forward of Jughead dying in a weird and mysterious way, and the main storyline of season 4 is supposed to tell us how and why that happens. Weirdly interesting concept if they pulled it off, but they didn't. And it was all a giant letdown, and we all knew that Jughead would not die, and guess what, he didn't die. Now I want to also point out one more thing before we move into season 5. Why is it that every single character in Riverdale has a secret long lost relative? It's getting to the point where it's just not even surprising. Season 4 introduces some really random people. Let's just have a look at a few that come up. Firstly, we see the Blossoms and the Coopers are secretly related. Why? I'm not too sure.
Family. Oh, I know all about your family, Penelope. And the incest.
What? What incest?
Hal's grandfather wasn't just your grandpappy's murder victim. They were brothers.
Then Cheryl finds out that her father had a secret twin brother who fled the family. Then we find out that FP and Alice had a secret baby over 20 years ago, meaning that Jughead and Betty share a secret half-brother. Then Archie finds out his dad has a secret brother that randomly shows up. Then wait, there's more. Cheryl finds out that she was secretly a triplet and she supposedly ate her other unborn brother in the womb.
Your brother's death.
Brothers. Plural.
I'm confused. Is this a metaphorical brother?
No, you mallard. I had a triplet. Julian, whom I absorbed in the womb and has resurfaced as a doll that's moving around my house causing mischief.
And lastly, Veronica has a secret older sister. Like, what the actual fuck? Okay, season 5. It's still currently going, but let's talk about what's happened so far. The 5th season is full of crazy storylines, shocking character deaths, and major cliffhangers. The biggest difference between season 5 and the rest is that Archie and the gang are all grown up. Yes, there was a giant 7-year time jump. And time jumps are usually very effective if used correctly. Most people thought that this time jump was going to be to like reboot the show and make it good again. Season 5 would have been the perfect season to save Riverdale, but guess what? Somehow they fucked it up again. Season 5 so far is terrible. Now the main plot of season 5 is that 7 years later all the main characters come back together in Riverdale, but when they show up Riverdale is abandoned and is now a ghost town. Hiram Lodge basically buys out the town and makes his own new town right next door to Riverdale called Sodale. Hiram Lodge also officially makes Riverdale not a town. Riverdale now doesn't even exist. But don't worry, Archie is here to save the day. Archie gathers up all his friends and they all become teachers at a high school. I'm not joking.
My father is nothing if not consistent.
Well, I think we can stop him. Or at least slow him down.
How?
We become teachers here.
Archie also becomes a firefighter and a football coach. Betty is also having nightmares and hallucinations due to PTSD from being kidnapped by the trash bag killer. That's also not a joke, that's an actual thing. Betty's sister is also now a prostitute and she randomly goes missing all the time. Veronica has relationship problems with her rich husband. And finally, Jughead is abducted by aliens. And then that introduces the Mothman. What the hell? That's season 5 so far. What a great start. Now, do you want to know a really funny joke? Riverdale has been renewed for a 6th season. Another 22 episodes of who knows what. Like, realistically, how much more insane can season 6 get? What's gonna happen? Jughead turns into an alien and fights Down syndrome Superman? Oh fuck, I probably can't say that. The show is realistically on its last legs, but guess what? Hundreds of thousands of people will watch season 6 and Riverdale will make more money. Okay, let's talk about the main reason that this show is so bad. The show's script writing. It's terrible, and it's all because of this man right here, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. This guy is so bad at writing. Like, my script for this video is genuinely probably better than anything he has ever wrote. Everyone hates this guy's shows, and that's why most of his shows also get cancelled, just because people weren't watching, and as they should. He couldn't write a story if his life literally relied on it. None of his stories have plots, and guess what every story needs? A plot. Storylines and character development don't exist in Roberto's world. All the characters in Riverdale somehow fully change their personalities every season, but his characters never develop. They're terrible. His characters are not written to make any sense. His characters are only liked because they're attractive, and all the little teenagers just want to watch them make out. That's literally it. And Roberto gets all this hate and criticism, and he doesn't change. Every piece of writing he does gets worse and worse. I think that's all that has to be said about the writing. Let's talk about the main characters specifically. We have Archie Andrews, Betty Cooper, Jughead Jones, Veronica Lodge, and Cheryl Blossom. They are the main 5 characters, and they are the only ones I want to talk about since the others are irrelevant. Now, there isn't a single character in this show that actually works or makes any sense. Every character is just bland, and they're just like right there, if you know what I mean. They are created to fit a very stereotypical 90s teen drama series, and they are nothing other than that. And literally the characters even describe themselves in the show as movie stereotypes.
You're the perfect girl next door.
I hate that word.
I'm the damaged loner outsider from the wrong side of the tracks.
Don't worry, you may be a stock character from a 90s teen movie, but I'm not.
They are stuck in a personality that can't be broken because of the story. It just doesn't let them. Okay, let's take the heat off a little bit, and I just want to say that the actors that actually play in this show do have potential, and all are very good actors, and the acting in Riverdale is actually really good. It's just the script writing. They are stuck in terrible character writing, and I really do feel bad for them because a lot of them get hate, but it's just Roberto, the fucking stinky man. All of them as separate actors in real life are extremely good, and they don't deserve the hate that they get all because of what they are made to say because of their script. But let's just talk about the characters in the show separately. Archie Andrews, the main guy, but you know what? I don't know why Archie's the main character of this show. For some reason, the writers always put Archie in a storyline that are completely separate from the other main characters, and it's a big problem in literally every season. He is such a boring character. If it wasn't for Archie's looks, I don't think anyone would actually even care about him. Archie is a thirst trap. That's my summary. Archie is a thirst trap. Try find one episode where he doesn't take his shirt off at least once, or even harder yet, find one episode where he doesn't do something a little sexual. And another pet peeve I have about Archie is he literally acts like God. And I mean, he basically is God. He has survived so much random shit. Like, he literally punches through a foot of solid ice to save Cheryl. But let's just skip to the dumbest thing. He literally fights a bear and wins and gets away. I don't know how. It doesn't show it in any of the scenes how he did it, but literally every time something seems stupidly impossible, Archie beats the 9-1 odds. It's just dumb. But anyway, next character. Betty Cooper. I hate Betty's character with a passion. I'm just going to say it straight off the bat. She is the most annoying character. They tried way too hard with this classic stereotype of the good girl next door. She was always the perfect daughter, the perfect friend, the perfect student. That's in the first season. Then she turns into an absolute psychopath. But for this show, how she was set up in season 1, there definitely could have potentially been an actual interesting character. But again, Roberto has to fuck it up, and that's it. She's a terrible character from about season 2 to season 5. She is one of the worst characters. The The biggest thing I hate about her character is that she is a giant hypocrite and she does some messed up shit in this show, but Roberto just lets it run. And her character never faces consequences, and her mood will change for one scene, and then she's the happiest character in the next scene. It's always so inconsistent. Like, when her dad got a bullet to the brain right in front of her and she cried and was upset, then in the literal next day, in the next scene, she was happy drinking a milkshake and her dad never comes up and ruins her life again. Oh, and she says that she will kill you way too much. That's just her go-to choice of words.
Get out of my house.
Not until you tell
Cheryl,
me.
get the hell out of my house.
Before I kill you.
The truth, Chuck. Or so help me, I will boil you alive.
Because if you do, Evelyn, I will kill you. And if you don't believe me, ask around. I caught the Black Hood. And you know what they all have in common? They're dead. Consider yourself warned.
Yup, and that's Betty. Next character, Jughead Jones. Jughead is the character that is everyone's favourite for some reason. For the people that think that, I have a really good question for you. Do you really think he is a good character, or do you just like Cole Sprouse, one of the most loved actors? Have a good think about it. He is probably the least annoying out of the bunch. Sometimes he has his moments where his acting is way over the top, but you know, that's fine. Now, especially in the first few seasons, the writers try and make Jughead serious and everything he says is supposed to sound deep, but if you actually listen, he's just saying random shit. He's just talking out of his ass about something really random.
Maybe it's just a forgotten closet under a well-trod staircase, where it's just you and the mice and the spiders, like an extra in a Wes Craven movie.
What? Why is that even a thing? What's he talking about? Like 99% of what he says is just words. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so dumb. It's sometimes funny, but most of the time it's really dumb and it's really annoying. And you know what makes it even worse? Every time he tries to say something serious, there's always this stupid music that plays in the background. Just makes it 10 times worse. But I mean, he is probably the most straightforward character in the show, and there isn't much more to say. Next up, Veronica Lodge. Everyone's biggest source of anger in this show. She probably has the worst lines and dialogue out of all the characters, but oh my god, her character is so mentally draining. Why does she always have to reference a movie or a book every time she tries to say something smart?
Are you familiar with the works of Truman Capote? I'm Breakfast at Tiffany's, but this place is strictly in cold blood.
Why? Just why? Now in season 1, Veronica and her mum are supposedly broke, they have no money, they were left ruined because of the imprisonment of Veronica's father, Hiram. And now they're trying to live their lives in Riverdale with the terrible reputation left there by Hiram Lodge. Now if you were to read that idea/concept on paper, you know what, it sounds pretty decent. And there's always space for character development for Veronica and even her mum, but we know how Roberto is with character development. Now Veronica moved from New York to Riverdale and wanted to reinvent herself as a quiet teen just seeking happiness, and she just wants to leave her old habits behind. But one season in and we see the exact opposite. Her character doesn't change at all. Veronica completely owns who she is and doesn't want to change at all. She still treats people like she owns them, she's loud, she has no regards for people's feelings, she cries over every little thing, she's a hypocrite and extremely rude, and the worst part that definitely relates to her old life is that she uses her wealth as leverage in every argument. But she's also probably the most inconsistent character. Like one season she's good girl Veronica and then the next season she's bad girl Veronica. Like, can the writers just make their mind up? The only thing that makes her character good is her looks. She's probably the most attractive character, but other than that, she is everyone's least favourite character out of the main group. Now the worst part is, she's not even the overall worst character. Let me introduce you to Cheryl Blossom. If I had to make a top 5 list of Riverdale characters that I hated, she would easily be number 1. Every problem I have with this show is all put into this one character. Bad characterization, check. Inconsistent character writing and emotions, check. Absolutely zero character development, check. Way over sexualized, check. Cringy and toxic random dialogue, check, check, check. And it's just embarrassing. Cheryl thinks that she's the best and coolest character, but none of the other characters see Cheryl how she sees herself. But I do feel kinda bad. She's actually quite a lonely character. Nobody wants to be around her because of how she acts, you know, fair enough though. But she doesn't have any real friends and her family only care about money. They couldn't care less if she just disappeared. Let's be honest, after season 1, Cheryl has no reason to exist or to be on this show. She's completely irrelevant. After season 1 and her brother being the main plotline, she is never the main topic of any plots again from season 2 to 5. It's pretty obvious in the last few seasons that the writers have no idea what to do with her. I reckon just kill her off honestly, but currently the writers are just using Cheryl as a character to waste time. But back to why Cheryl is cold-hearted and why no one should like her, here are some examples. Cheryl refuses to let Betty join the cheerleading team at school because she thought she was too fat. She likes to refer to Betty as a dumb cow a lot. She also stalks Josie and leaves creepy pictures in her locker and then frames it on another guy because she didn't want to get caught. She also sets her family home on fire, then threatens to kill her own mother if she says a word. And there's a lot more, but to those people that think Cheryl is a good character and is just lonely, that's why she's stuffed up, you're stupid. She is the worst character. Everyone can agree with me that isn't dumb. She is definitely the worst character. Okay, that's enough about the characters, let's talk about the terribly weird Riverdale timeline. Now, I've already said this a few times, but Riverdale is super inconsistent with basically everything because the writers pay little to no attention to what they're actually writing about. So everything in this show makes no sense, especially the timeline. And I'm pretty sure the writers don't even care or just forgot about the little details in the show. Let's just have a look at some examples. Now please listen closely, this gets pretty confusing. Just, yeah, make sure you listen. In season 1, Archie mentions Jason Blossom dies at 17 years old, but that can't really be possible. You're asking why? Well, Jason is Cheryl's twin. They are the same age, or they're supposed to be anyway. We also know that Cheryl is the same age as Archie and his friends. They're all sophomores, or in Australia that's basically a year 10, which means they're about 15, possibly 16 in the pilot. And it's confirmed in season 5 that Cheryl graduates at the same time as everyone else, so how can Cheryl have a twin brother who is 2 years older than her? This is a pretty big detail that's left out and crucial information that is given in literally the first episode of the show, and it's already not even making any sense. But let's continue, it gets worse. In season 5, after the kids graduate high school, there's a 7-year time jump forward in time. And when that happens, we're told the year in the show is 2021. But that also makes no sense because that would mean Archie and his friends graduated in the year 2014. However, when Jughead fakes his death in season 4 a few weeks before graduation, so before the time jump, we are told that he dies on March 18th, 2020. And in the same season, Veronica is accepted to Harvard. She is told on the phone that she will be joining the class of 2024, meaning she will be graduating high school in the year 2020. So that means that the season 5 time jump should be taking place in the year 2027, not 2021. It just makes no sense. It doesn't add up. How did 1 year go by during the supposed 7-year time jump? And also, if the kids graduated in 2014, that means that season 1 takes place around about the year 2012. Because they're sophomores, they have 2 more years of high school left. But in the pilot, Betty tells Veronica that Riverdale was founded in 1941, which is also impossible because the season 1 finale, the town celebrates its 75th anniversary, which means season 1 can only be taking place in the year 2016. But that's also impossible, not only because they graduated in 2014, but also because Jughead fakes his death before graduating in 2020. So that would mean that 4 years went by between season 1 and season 4. But again, they are sophomores in season 1. So we know that the story from season 1 to season 4 takes place during their last 2 years of high school, which means season 1 should be taking place in 2018. Do you guys understand? Are you still following me? I'm kind of getting confused now. But I think I've proved my point. The Riverdale timeline is really messed up. Let's move on before my brain explodes. Let's just talk about 2 little problems I have in my mind at the moment that I haven't mentioned. The hot 16-year-olds you see in Riverdale are actually 30. Let that sink in for a moment. Jughead, aka Cole Sprouse, is literally 29 years old playing a 16-year-old. Why? Who knows? Okay, now I found this comment on a website talking about Riverdale. I'm going to put it up on screen and read it out. Okay, can we just talk about how portraying teenagers like this is kinda really problematic? Like, it sets wrong expectations. 16-year-olds don't look like that. They're awkward and lanky and full of acne and stuff. No wonder why we all hate ourselves when this is how we are expected to look at the age of 16. Lol. Okay, Karen, calm down. No, but I do agree with this. It is a little bit problematic since a lot of teenagers obviously don't look like that. There is a rare few. I personally don't know any, but it does set big expectations when all 16-year-olds aren't even developed to the point where they can really look like that. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Now, the second problem I have, and so do many others, is how does Riverdale still run? Why does it continue to get renewed? Well, to put it simply, Hollywood gets away with average shows just because they have a lot of money and the actors look really good. That is basically all I have to say. Now that I've gotten all the problems off my chest, let's move on to part 7 of this video. So part 7 is talking about alternative routes that this show could have gone, and originally I wasn't going to add this into the video, but I thought it's pretty cool to talk about and just how I would have wanted it to go and how the show could have gone to make it better. If you don't want to listen to this, just skip to part 8, we're all good, but yeah, let's get into it. So if it was up to me, this show would still have probably 5 seasons, but all the seasons would only have 13 episodes, not 22. This is how it would go. Season 1 is a classic teen murder mystery, so keep season 1 the same basically. You can't guess the mystery till the end, which is great, and overall season 1 is perfect, so I would keep it the same. But then season 2, Archie dies mysteriously. And the whole storyline of season 2 is the friend group investigate Archie's death, and at the end of the season they find out Archie was murdered by Hiram Lodge. Now, in my version of the show, there is only one towering villain, and that would be Hiram. He is basically the perfect character to be a villain. Now, on to season 3. Season 3 is probably the shortest one, but the plot would be all the friend group planning and then going to war to take down Hiram and his mob. That's basically all of season 3. They succeed and the season ends and the big storyline ends. Then in season 4, we use the concept of a time jump similar to the one in season 5. All the group of friends are split up and have gone their separate ways. Then randomly they all get a letter saying to meet back in Riverdale. They then all reunite in Riverdale to find out that Hiram wasn't Archie's killer. Dun dun dun. They do their normal investigating and a few subplots show up. Then finally, in the season 4 finale, we see a flash of Jughead cleaning up a murder. That leads to season 5, where the friend group finds out that Jughead was Archie's murderer all this time, leading to one of the best murder mystery shows on Netflix. Well, in my opinion. But yeah, that's how I would have made Riverdale. In my opinion, what are the best and worst episodes and seasons? In all honesty, my favourite episode from the whole show is probably chapter 34, Judgment Night, which is season 2, episode 21. In summary of the episode, an incident at the sheriff's station triggers an all-out war between the north and south side. Now, this fight they had was really cool and very well made, I'll give them that. It also features one of my favourite songs when they go to war, which is cool. Now continuing, Veronica makes a devastating discovery about Hiram. Someone from Hiram's past arrives looking for revenge and Betty comes face to face with the Black Hood. Overall, this episode was really good and actually really watchable and well made. But I also have one more episode I'd like to mention, which is probably a tie for the best episode in my opinion, and that is chapter 58, In Memoriam, which is season 4 episode 1. Now this is a tribute episode to Luke Perry, who played Archie's dad, but died in real life from a stroke, which is very sad, RIP. But this episode was insanely good and looks like they actually tried for once, which is good. Now, time for the worst episode. Which one do I choose? There's about 80 of them to choose from, but there is one that actually stands out. And let me just say, I really, really hate musical episodes with a passion. In my opinion, the Heathers musical episode, which is season 3, episode 16, titled Big Fun, is the worst episode on the show. Now, this isn't just the worst episode of Riverdale, this has to be a competitor for worst episode of a show ever made. This episode is terrible, and I just hate musical episodes in general are just terrible. Everything in this episode sucks. The music sucks, the storyline of the episode sucks, the characters suck more than usual, the writers suck more than usual, the cinematography sucks, everything with this episode sucks. And I can't talk about that anymore. Now, the best overall season of Riverdale is easily season 1. It has the best storyline, no cringy parts, not bad acting, and it's a extremely good season. Good job. Now, would I recommend this show? Yes. Why? Because why not? If you have nothing to do and want to waste time, especially in lockdown, and you don't really care about small details like bad writing and random storylines that make absolutely no sense, it's a good show to watch. It's also fun to watch ironically. Ultimately, Riverdale is a very overrated mystery. It's a strange thing that never should have been able to exist for this long, and if the show gets renewed for a 7th season, I'm done. Also, if the people of Riverdale end up turning into superheroes, I'm also done. Now that concludes this video. Now this was my first time doing a type of video like this. I probably did make some mistakes, but I will try and improve for future videos. I really enjoyed making this video, so hopefully you enjoyed watching it. If you did, make sure you drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. If this video does good and people like this type of content, I will definitely make more. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Oh my god.
What?
Game changer. Archie got hot. He's got abs now. 6 more reasons for you to take that ginger bull by the horns tonight.